It's a fact you're not here. You ain't even real, but you still bring me fear. You make my bones so tired that my soul stands up. But now I'm starting to need to bleed to fill this cup. It's like I'm starting to need to bleed to fill this cup. Oh.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Working Wing Podcast, the podcast where every week we watch some episodes of The West Wing and break them down from our own unique working leftist perspective. My name is Tim Schultz, and joining me, as always, a man who definitely at least knows how to board a train properly, Killian Collins is here.
You know, Tim, I've never had a bad time on. Well, actually, no. I have boarded a train properly as far as I've known in my life, but I have gotten burned on a train before.
Oh, really?
While visiting Thomas the Tank Engine as a child. But one of those. That's apparently one of the few memories I have on a train. I haven't had a nice long train trip in the future, but yes. Tim.
Oh, yeah. We will get to all of that.
Well,
the glory and competence of our federal government.
Well, no, I was just gonna get to like this leads to the title of our episode, 20 Hours in America, but this one should be called Planes, Trains, and White House Snobs. Like this really is like that's really like what this is. And just like planes, trains, and automobiles, it has nothing to do with the planes. It's about people who are trying to travel without the planes, because that's the entire premise, is that with the plane trip, it's just the bullshit of the airport, and then you're done. And you're there and you have the rest of your time. That you don't have to go on this whole grand adventure. The grand adventure is getting off the plane. That's the grand adventure, is like surviving the airplane grid, which is like, you know, is so scary about it is it's kind of like, you know, when you go up to a water slide and, you know, you have to anticipate for that 1 second and you could die, but you probably won't. But it's that anticipation of, yeah, you ready to die?
This is like Homeward Bound. But
yes.
But
realistically, they would have starved to death. Like a lot, like they were unable to get Starbucks on the way back, and they shriveled up on the road.
They shriveled up, yes. Exactly.
Like what one of those gas station attendants, like, you know, made a like Texas Chainsaw Massacre situation out of those people. Anyway, when it starts off with the president doing crowd work on the campaign trail at an astroturfed Democrat farmer in Indiana.
I have a question about who this farmer is that like he's got the entire Democratic National Convention like camped out on his yard.
Literally every Democrat in rural Indiana like all came from like across the state to go to this one farm.
Had to be.
Like there's no way that crowd was that full, and like they're
right, especially well, it also begs the question. All right. They talk like Toby and Josh talk about how they already lost Indiana.
Yeah.
And that they know they're not going to win Indiana.
Yeah.
So why is the president in Indiana? Why is he not in Ohio? In Florida? Like that's not how elections work in this country. It's really not.
You go to the places that are battleground states, and
exactly.
You go and
Biden is not going to waste time campaigning in like Mississippi in this up and coming election cycle.
Oh, he's got to go. No, he's got to go to Delaware. Make sure he's got to keep Delaware.
You got to keep Delaware. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you mean your corporate tax haven? Like, bro, they know they own you. Bro, they own you. Like, come on.
They have statues of you outside of their like mammoth office parks.
Like, of course they're not going to get rid of you. Yeah, the other guy is going to be like base opposition to be like, well, we tried our best against them and won't matter that much. Yeah, you got to fight for those battle ones. But yes, he talks to the farmers. He tells a farmer story that ends up being about energy alternatives, which, you know, farmers love because, like, you know, farmers are all about.
Well, yeah, and he's also pretty much making jokes about the exact policy that Biden has pursued when it comes to renewable energy.
Yeah,
where he's like, ha. These big oil and car companies say they're committed to energy alternatives.
Glad you said it, because I was.
But like, that's exactly what Biden has done, is just given billions of dollars to like oil and automobile companies to explore green alternatives.
Yes. Of like who else to do it but the people who have all the stakes of not losing this
Exactly.
industry.
Or to capture whatever comes next, just like they've captured and exploited the current energy infrastructure.
All right, and then we lead to the plot B subplot where Toby
Josh is talking. Josh and Toby are talking to young Amy Adams in a cornfield.
yeah, I think her name was Kathy or something, but or
Kathy.
was it? Yeah,
her name is Kathy.
Yeah, but Toby does this so he'll just he can stay visually displeased, far away from the crowd, as the president makes his speech. And Josh is like trying to basically do what he does, what the Democratic strategy is like argue people into like who already are going to vote for this guy into like ways to bully their neighbors and their peers into like intellectually bullying them into like voting for him. To which Kathy was just mentioning, like, well, there's all these like living conditions that are getting people to vote this other way. And, like, I know they're full of shit. And that's why I like advocate for you guys. But, it's really hard because, like, they're saying all these things and you're not listening. And they're like, well, yeah, well, we're listening better than the other guys.
Right. That pretty much sums up the state of like modern democratic politics.
Yes, like not for 20 years.
Can you stop supporting global genocides? And it's like, well, the other guy also likes genocide. It's like, okay, but like I feel like you're not hearing what exactly I'm saying.
Can you be like more of a black and white, like show that you're like actually opposed to it, but or are you more or less going to vote for the same policies that will affect us the same as they will for our everyday lives? Yeah, but then they find out that they were arguing with this girl so long, they find out that the motorcade has left them behind. I don't see if Donna got them to come along, but Josh is berating Donna on the phone as he's one to do, and
Donna is on the phone. Josh is berating him.
Yeah, this nice fictional Indiana farmer Kathy and her boyfriend apparently designed a diesel fueled truck run on soybeans or something. But I guess apparently it's just diesel. So
right. Well, and apparently these people don't fill up their truck often enough, and B don't like keep a reserve of gas or diesel or whatever,
which you would do in these areas if you live out there. If you're not,
exactly.
A Democratic
if your car, if your car is filled up with gas or not. Like, what the fuck?
That kind of sounds like a person like moves out from like Silicon Valley into like Midland, Ohio, like you're gonna start a farm and they have like a Tesla truck and they're like, oh shit, I don't know how to charge
nothing around here. Yeah, exactly.
Leo's managing he's managing the campaign from the White House, goes to the Situation Room.
Oh, there's some jokes about the grapefruit diet, which was popular around this time.
Yeah, there's that the Weird Al song Grapefruit Diet.
Grapefruit Diet came out around this time.
Yeah. Just piss you off by just eating nothing but grapefruit. Then he goes to the Situation Room and just basically gets a status report of like how we're fucking with like every continent.
Yes. I'm like, do we want to interfere in this democratic election? Oh no, we're gonna wait to see how it shakes out. We can still remove this guy if we end up not liking him.
Right.
Roger that.
right. Yeah, Roger. Free democracy. And then we have until we get Kamara's onto the missing plane. They know something is up with it. They know it wasn't a fucking accident.
Right. But we are constantly assured that we are so good at murder.
Yes.
There's no way they can actually find any evidence because we are just so fucking good at covert ops and murdering people.
We've been at it like, way before like these other countries, like way later.
We've established ourselves as a world leader.
Yeah. Then we get Sam in the White House. People telling him to rest and go home. He's apparently been hard at work writing speeches.
Doing something,
Something.
He's been writing stump parts of the stump or whatever.
presidential motorcade gets to an airfield, it looks like, and Bruno and CJ are updating them on what was their status report? It was about something.
It was like there's a whole subplot in this episode about people are it was protesters in Madison, Wisconsin who showed up in aprons and holding rolling pins.
Yeah.
When Abby Bartlett appeared at an event in Madison because she had said that she was just a wife and mother after giving up her medical license.
Okay, yeah. So they're using it to be like you're a misogynist or you're a lesbian or you're
right, exactly. Yeah, is Abby Bartlett a lesbian?
Yeah,
is the way Bruno puts it.
Which is a kind of a nothing burger. It's just like, it's like free press. It's just like
you do get yeah.
I'm gonna say like Michelle Obama's a man. That's kind of why when I hear that, it's just like, well, like I really don't care. It's just like you're just gonna keep like saying it. You just sound stupid. Like you just sound like an idiot. Like
but Bruno is just strutting around being his like lovable like Democratic shitbird self.
Really not.
He's fun to watch.
It's funny because like these disasters, like he really has just like he's had nothing to do with like like creating these disasters at all, and but he's not like really around any like putting it out of the fires. But like,
right.
I guess
I mean we've talked about this before, but like by this point in the administration, Leo, Josh, Toby would all be gone.
Yeah.
CJ would be gone.
Yeah.
Sam would probably have some position, but like they would bring in an entire separate team to do the campaign.
Yeah.
That's just how it works.
That's how it would be. Farmer explains his engineering on the back of a pickup. President speeches to the Navy.
Oh, Josh is like very salacious about Amy Adams.
Yeah.
And she doesn't know that the dude in the car is her boyfriend. Which again, for like a political operative, like for a savvy political operative, know the fucking dynamics of the people you're with, I guess, just as like a basic principle of that.
Yeah, maybe not sit after every girl that you talk to and every second you're in, like the president has the speech to the Air Force. And then he gets a report that the Dow is falling. Bruno's pretty confident it's going to rebound. And Kumar is investigating this plane incident in the Bermuda. Donna is with Kathy in the soy truck. He talks about insecure benefits for she's talking about she has a second job just for the insurance for her family. And then the car runs out of gas. Some Republican guy picks him up who's just like, it's the same response of didn't vote for him the first time, not going to vote for him again.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Which I don't know. All of this to me just kind of seems like an outrageous look at Indiana.
Yeah.
Like it's, it's whatever. It's Indiana is so podunk.
Fitzwallace and Leo in the office. Leo assures his tracks is covered.
Yeah, exactly. This is where they really go into that we are so good at murder.
Yeah. And it's like, guys, we all do belong in the hay. We really should be going there, but we're going to make sure we don't get there. Right? Like we're on the same club because hey, if I hang, guess what?
Right.
I mean, it really
also, they keep mentioning the hey, we are not a signatory to those international. We left ourselves when we set up the IOC. We left ourselves exempt to all of that.
Yep. Kind of like Tony Soprano writing out parking tickets. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Same old mafioso. Like all these governments around, they pretty much are just a mafia one way or another.
Yeah.
Are you in the family? CJ's with the press on Air Force One, kind of running the press around again. President meets. President starts interviewing Mrs. Landingham replacements, which
that doesn't really become relevant at all until next episode.
No. We get Josh, Toby, and Donna at a hodunk gas station in the middle of nowhere where like they also piss the guy off by saying we're gonna wait for a cab. We don't like loitering.
Right. Yeah.
They start playing this game of whoever misses is the first to miss. You have to when someone asks for your name, you have to say, "My name is this, and I work for the White House."
And which is funny.
Yeah,
it's a funny beat. But then also at the same time, they are continuing to regurgitate this whole Bush v. Gore thing, which they started setting up last season.
yeah,
It's even more starkly outlined this time of like,
yep.
you're running against the folksy guy. Al Gore tried to be folksy in return and relatable in turn, and it did not work.
Well, and I'll give him. here's the thing: is like it's like yeah, well, Al Gore is like a fucking robot. Like it's just
exactly.
Like it is like he's that guy from Parks and Rec who Ben Wyatt interned for, who's just like would sit in his office and go.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's not
and like I feel like I speculate at some point in my notes for these two episodes of like what argument are we seeing? Like, who is this argument that we're seeing play out really between? Is it like, is it like, I can't escape the feeling that it's like Eli Addy, who was a senior campaign staffer and speechwriter for Al Gore, relitigating an argument that he had with like other people on the Gore campaign staff.
Yeah.
Being like, if we just highlight how fucking smart this guy is, then we will of course just soar above the folksy dumbass Bush.
Because people trust a really smart guy. Like,
Right.
It's not
exactly.
like they've gotten screwed over by like really smart people before.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, no, but you're absolutely right. That they go into this. Yeah, they go into this. This is a constant research. It kind of reminds me of like when you and me were going through to LA, which was like the inspiration for this show when the invasion of Ukraine had started, and you and I were arguing
all throughout that trip and many times after. Actually,
yes, and with our friend Kenny being Donna. Just like trying to actually get us like to go back on the road and like trying to keep us moving along, and him just getting so annoyed by us.
Yes, definitely.
Anyway, the most important thing, Toby missed, so he's the one who has to say his little line.
And then they are driving with some young kid, and a scene plays out that was like so. I have to say it was probably pretty well done because it made me cringe so hard at like the reminder of what it was like to be a teenager in the early 2000s.
Yeah, I was gonna say like, yeah, the future incel kid. That's like
they had the look. All of them had the look of like, oh man, this is what we were like when we were 14 in the year 2000.
Yeah, I remember my hair was really long like that, and we all had hair like that. We all wanted to look like Beatles.
Yeah, exactly. But it turns out the feds can't tell time.
It turns out the feds cannot tell time. It turns out that
all right, and I will say, you and I, speaking of road trips with our friend Kenny, we all collectively did make the exact same mistake when going to see a show in Michigan's Upper Peninsula.
No, I believe it was Ypsilanti. I started to correct you.
No, you're right.
It was Ypsilanti because we did have to go all the way, but we did not think about the time change that goes in the middle of Michigan.
Yes.
Yeah. So
we arrived to a concert to find the band we were seeing already playing.
Well, it's not even in the middle of Michigan either, but yeah, yes. Already playing, came in just for the start of it. Yes. In another trip that is when you're going that way, but also you had the same vehicle the entire time. And these guys are going to be taking different trip from different trip to different trip to different trip.
Yes.
Which is like, why don't they just get a bus?
Or hire a fucking taxi.
Yeah. Not rely on this kid. CJ and Charlie are on Air Force One. She asked Charlie to be Simon's former little brother's big brother. And he's obviously like, are you just asking me because I'm black? And she's like, no, Sam, no, you're just first because you're black. Sam's next. Like you just said, like Sam's next, and it's like, okay, but like I if I were him, I'd be like, okay, but you still did like, why was I the first one? Like, come on, like I literally have no time. Like like, I'm here all the time, CJ. Like, Josh calls Sam. in his slumber, and he explains the situation. He needs Sam to be. I guess he's just asking Sam to like be the president's wide angle lens, like you know.
They staff the president, which we've never seen Josh do, but Josh makes it seem like he does it all the time.
Yeah,
whatever.
The president interviews more candidates, no dice. Bruno tells president is that the Dow's going to rally. Polls are looking good, and the feminism, the roller pin gang showed up and called Abby a lesbian. Sam takes long distance managing seriously. He's meeting up. Meets up on Abby's comment. Staff arrives in a diner. Yes, the traveling staff arrives in a diner with a crabby waitress, and Toby does what you're not supposed to do with a crabby waitress: is you waste her time.
Yeah, you antagonize her.
Yes. There's no cable in the diner, and Toby said something that was like audacious. I was like kind of like, oh yeah, like racist comment from Toby, but it wasn't like against black. It was something that was like about Jewish folks. I was just kind of like,
no, yeah, he and because Toby is Jewish, as is Josh.
Yeah,
their characters,
right,
and they were talking about Richie, right? Josh was like, you call it the Milton Friedman economic plan, you call it the whatever energy plan, and he's like, you're trying to make it sound like he's dumb. And Toby's like, well, yeah, our guy has a Nobel Prize, and we should be highlighting that. And Josh is like, well, what he's highlighting is, oh, a Nobel Prize, that's good, let me get some. And then Toby responds, no, what he's advertising is, you can't trust these academic Eastern elites, but don't worry, I'll have Jews for the money stuff.
Which is like, yeah, and that seems like kind of a leap. Like,
yeah,
like that kind of seems more of an assumption on his part, which is just kind of like, it's like, well, yeah, you're making that assumption by saying someone's doing it but coded, and it's like, I think you kind of making the assumption is a little bit like that. The assumption in the first place is like, in my view, is just kind of assuming that it's like, well, yeah, there's tons of Jews in this occupation right away. It's just like, it's kind of just being like, it's kind of just following a stereotype more.
Right. Well, and that's pretty much what Josh does too.
Yeah.
Josh is like, comments like that make it yeah. Josh says comments like that make it feel like, I think he says it later, but
yeah. No, because they say something about like, yeah, but Jews who live on this side or that, they're called Presbyterians.
Yeah, yeah, no, exact, yeah, no. Toby says, yeah, the ancient Hebrews had a word for Jews from Westchester.
Yeah,
they call them Presbyterians.
Jesus Christ, not touching that one.
No, me neither.
President's mad at the scandal of. I didn't get this scandal of some associate that was involved in like.
Right. No, this is Bartlett / Aaron Sorkin being like, prominent men who commit sexual harassment in the workplace should not be talked about in the media, and that it is despicable for anyone who has been sexually harassed in the workplace to come forward. Just keep it out of the papers. You know, why do you got to talk about that stuff? Aaron Sorkin. No, I mean, I'm sorry. President Bartlett just feels like no one who has, maybe had some female writers leave his staff should ever be exposed to rumors of sexual harassment.
Never. Like, there should be laws against the people throwing them accusations out there.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
what it should be. God damn it. Ay. Yeah, he meets with the Secretary of Commerce, and they bitch about how bad they're worried about Dow. Then the president and Leo meet for a photo op with some Texas congressman who's I guess he's from Vietnam or something. Like, that's what they made it. That's what they made it sound like.
Vietnam or China or something.
Yeah, something.
Korea or something.
and they pose for a picture, and then we go to part 2. The Dow is still dropping, and there's a guy who is he's basically met with like every president since
Hoover, yeah. And
Yes.
so Bartlett
And
is taking a picture with him.
and
But
he asked him what day did you meet with Hoover? And he said, "Oh yeah, October 23rd, my birthday, 1929." And Bartlett was like, "Huh."
You took a picture with Herbert Hoover, and then the next day, Wall Street collapsed.
Like what's happened to Wall Street, right?
Huge,
like the first news report I got in the morning was this, and
so then he has a fun conversation with Charlie where Charlie's like, "I can't believe you're gonna do it. I would never do that."
I think at that point you're already, if you believe and you're superstitious about it, I think you're already cursed at that point.
I think so too.
You've already, like, it's like, and I think as a writer, from a writing standpoint, that's what I would write this episode about. Like, is just about the disaster. But that's just me.
Right. Well, yeah, no. We don't even really get like any resolution on what the stock market does, because there's a whole like, mass casualty domestic terror attack.
Right. And we can always just print the money, and like
right, exactly. the Federal Reserve has got you for sure.
Yeah, Sam asked CJ about what they're doing with this Abby lesbian story. CJ asked Sam to be Simon's replacement brother and too schmaltzy.
Oh yeah, because he was laying on the floor, so she calls him schmaltzy pants.
Yeah. Staff is still on the road. The White House, yeah.
They board a train.
Yes, they board a train.
But it turns out the train is going the wrong fucking way.
Oh yeah. A guy kid that told him his problems were going to be that way down the track. The future incel, the future Proud Boy kid.
Yeah, exactly.
And they dismiss him. And never mind. I'll get into it later. Leo and Nancy, and then Fitzwallace meet in the situation on Kumar, and Nancy does, like Dr. Strangelove, like want to just bomb these. She wants to nuke motherfuckers.
I have this down in my notes. It's just a realistic look at every administration for the past 20 years,
where it's like, hey, so our options is like we could end human life.
Right.
That's option one.
I mean, yes, the nukes is going overboard.
Right.
But I do imagine there are like moments in the situation room where like all the various chiefs and advisors are fighting over who gets to control the drones next.
Who wants to make the pillar of fire? Who wants to make the pillar of fire? Like who wants to act like they're like,
Nancy would love being at like a drone control station. Like, got your ass.
It's like, no, they're like little kids like playing with like Nerf weapons. Like it's like, no, I want to, like, you got to do it last time.
Yeah.
Yeah, she calls. She's like, "Well, Fitzwallace, you're a sissy. You won't let me. Fire like
Admiral like sissy pants. Yeah,
you won't let me like start World War III. Like, fuck you." Yeah. Like she says, like Kumar is like making up evidence, and Fitzwallace, that's impossible unless Kumar's going to blame somebody else and provoke a conflict. I'm like, oh yeah, I wonder where they learned that from. President talks to some folks about faith-based initiatives.
I mean,
something like that.
he shoots it down, but
yeah. Greaves in his he grieves on his interviewees. Grieves about his interviewees, how they're all terrible, to set up Deborah coming back. Staff's on the train, all talking strategy on. I think
here's one thing I have a huge problem with.
Yeah,
we find out that they can't like get anyone to meet them where they're going to end up on this train, or call anyone to like get information or anything, because Donna's cell phone is dead, and apparently she's the only person out of these three people who has a cell phone. This was written in 2002. Like, my mom had a fucking cell phone by then.
Most adults had a cell phone.
Most adults had a cell phone. It is absolutely ridiculous and inconceivable that Josh and Toby do not have. We saw Toby with a cell phone in the first fucking episode of the show, which was written back in like 1998.
Yes.
How does he? How is he not? How does he not? How did he have a cell phone then, but not now?
How are these people like not communicating with that cell phone most of the time?
Right. Exactly. It's absolutely ludicrous.
Yeah. It is complete. You're completely spot on. Charlie then is he's coaching Deborah on don't be pilled out and have a good concept for memory and all this stuff. Economics advisors are with the president and on the Dow. I guess they're cautiously optimistic. Deborah comes in for her interview. Sam knows her too. Sam knows her and loves her. She talks about hiring Charlie, who is after. She answers right.
Yeah. I mean, Lily Tomlin is great. Love Lily Tomlin. She's got great chemistry with Bartlett. The scene does dissolve into like a little Dickensian sketch.
Yeah.
I would say in terms of like coincidence.
Yes. It is a little dumb because as the person she hired the person she hired, Charlie, and instead of the other person comes back to
he happens to be in the office right outside during her interview. This like fucking random nobody that we've never heard of just happens to be in the president's antechamber right at this moment.
Yeah. But basically she just tries to like dismiss herself out of the interview, say like I was pilled up last time. Charlie's a good kid, but he's lying for me. I got fired for chronic lateness. No other reason. Don't look into it. Yada yada. But then she runs into this nobody who is the potential old hire, and he snaps on her, and she says, "I didn't rat you out." And Bartlett,
Bartlett says she didn't rat you out.
Yeah. Yeah, Bartlett says he didn't rat her out. So even showing more how much of a good soldier she is. He asked her about the dollar and like what is economics person who came in and listed off a stat said, and she listed it off perfectly. He knew she was the one. There it is. She's hired. CJ's with the press. She puts a full lid and then returns very quickly for a story about 2 pipe bombs being set off at a college swim meet, which like 40 people were killed and 20 were seriously injured. And that's goes into the aftermath of people feeling terrorist attacks.
Yeah. Which I will say again, I've said it before about this show. I don't think this is how the White House works. And I don't think this is how the American media landscape works.
No.
Where like something happens and then every reporter at the White House just I don't think the White House press secretary spends her time just reporting the news,
like live report, right?
Live reporting the news to these reporters. I think these reporters would much rather turn on CNN and get their news that way.
Yeah, as opposed to like because Leo like then sees
I think the press secretary's job is to speak on the White House's position about this.
Yes,
it's not to be a news service.
Yes, because the White House report, like it'd be weird that like the White House is like reporting on like what's happening because that's like conspiracy bait right there.
Right? Yeah, it definitely is. It definitely is. Like AP and CNN exist for a reason.
Can you imagine if what was her name? Sarah Huckabee Sanders was just like trying to like improvise like, well, Prigozhin, I guess he she's like looking at her notes, just like the staff also retreats to a hotel because they don't know where anything is, and they sound like they're about to like gangbang Donna, which I guess is the joke there because
it is the joke. It is a joke. This guy is like, you mean 2 rooms, right? 2 men and a woman sharing a hotel room. Well, I never.
Well, they're trying to rent by the hour, which is like at that point you'd be like, leave, like you're trying to get the fuck out. To which they see on the news in the lobby that there's pipe bombs that went off. The president's giving the speech at a
all of this happens to the background of a song called "I Don't Like Mondays," which I think they mentioned earlier in an episode is based off of Brenda Spencer, one of America's first school shooters and one of the only female school shooters in American history, who got a rifle, shot up an elementary school, and then when asked why, she said, "I don't like Mondays." It was
Garfield.
in 1979.
Garfield.
Yes, that's like Garfield.
Garfield and Friends. Yeah, so fun. I don't like Mondays plays. Anthony is the little brother of the passed away Simon is waiting at the White House, upset, and CJ comes back saying like, no, we didn't know about this pipe bomb thing, which is also like, CJ, you didn't also have to give this report either. Like, Anthony is kind of right to be pissed off because he's like, you didn't have to like list off this this
exactly,
like information thing when you didn't even have any information anyway.
Right, exactly.
You didn't even have to speak on it in the first place. You could have just kept walking out of the room and been like, "Yeah, we'll report on that tomorrow." Well, that's
we'll give you the White when the White House has something to say about this. I'll come back out and say something.
Pretty much like she does like every goddamn day with all these other stories where there's a loss of human life, or there's like there's a horrible overturning, there's a horrible law getting passed, or anything like that. But of course, this kid sitting there and he's disappointed and upset. He then calls her a bitch at some point.
And then Charlie goes the fuck off
and lashes
pushes him against the wall
and offers to be his
speech.
And as offers to be his big brother, essentially, which is like not also like what would happen either, because it's not like he's got more time or anything. He's just like,
well, basically, it's going to be like, you're going to have breakfast with me, play some basketball, and then come watch me do paperwork. Which sounds pretty boring and like a punishment on its own.
Yeah, it does. It does. That sounds like, or it's like, yeah, you could go off and you could just like go and sell drugs or do any of that. I'd be like, yeah, I'll sell drugs, please. Like, yeah, fuck.
Well, he has a point of like, every time you do crimes, you get caught. You're not a good criminal. Which sometimes that's true. Sometimes people need to hear that as well.
Yeah, but also if your alternative is like, hey, like, let me bully you into like watching me do paperwork, like, and I have like these like unreliable White House people who like see you as like insignificant, which is why they will put you on the back burner.
Yeah, that's true.
Exhausted Sam returns to his office. His ex, who was dating that hockey player,
yawn.
Yeah.
No, I was gonna say, I haven't know, like, that entire scene felt way too rushed and shoehorned in general. Like, the pacing of this episode kind of falls apart because
it seemed like Sam had
this big,
nothing to
slow,
do.
grand. Yeah, they do this big, slow, grand music montage and a great, stirring speech that was like Aaron Sorkin's rejected drafts of what he would have said on 9/11. I feel like,
yeah.
Like they has that somberness, like the way Bartlett is speaking. This is like Sorkin being like, I want to channel George Bush on 9/11, but like my style.
Yeah.
And then this scene just feels brief and rushed and shoehorned in.
Yeah.
That's how I finished my note about this scene. And then I said, speaking of shoehorned in,
yeah,
hey, Mallory is back.
Mallory, yeah. And then the line about like good writers steal, which is like, well, no, like I think more so the quote should just be like, yeah, if you steal from one person, you're ripping them off, but if you steal from a bunch of people, then you're doing research.
Right.
Much, I think that's much better put, especially for his method of these things of just using more words to say it. But Toby and Josh are arguing. Donna's so sick of it. Donna is our friend Kenny, who is just like, I've been fucking like listening to you guys argue about this shit for fucking ever. Like I've been trying to have fun. You guys made fun. Like you guys made this girl feel like fucking horrible, and like you're making fun of her fucking state. Like when she was like actually helping you out, and making this astroturfed fake ass like Democratic stronghold in Indiana where there's like no fucking support for you guys for a state you're gonna lose. Like, and you just fucking
she built the Potemkin Democratic rally in the middle of Indiana for you,
and you guys
just
called
her dumb and said you were doing enough for her, even though she has to work 2 jobs just to like keep her dad's medical care going.
essentially just kind of foreshadowing like what's going to happen in the future is that those people are going to be like,
Right.
they'll be voting for some from some demagogues in the future. Donna's writing letters.
I want to say it's weird. Yeah, she's writing letters to the victims on the behalf of who? On the behalf of Josh? Like, I don't know. Because like I think they said this attack happened at like Kent State or something.
Okay.
It was like somewhere in Ohio, I
Yeah.
think. But like if I'm the parent of someone whose child got like blown up at Kent State, and I get a letter from who? The fucking like White House Deputy Chief of Staff being like, "Oh, I'm sorry, your kid died."
Like, what'd you
That
guys
would just
do?
be weird. Like,
What'd
it's
you
not
guys do?
It's not. It's not even like offensive or anything. It just is weird. Like, why would you write me this letter?
Like,
Why do you think it meant?
What'd you guys have to do with it?
Were you worried? I would assume you weren't. Did you think I would assume you weren't sorry that my kid got blown up?
Are you telling me the CIA has this term called blowback for like when they do these things that are so bad around the world, they like shake and come back to us and innocent civilians die? Like, and this is what this is, that blowback? Is that what you're telling me with this letter, Mr. Josh? Is that what you're telling me? Yeah, Toby then talks to some guy at the bar who is having a rough day because his mutual fund.
Your mutual fund got wiped out.
You scrape and you save and you just get a little bit enough just to kiss that old brass ring. Doesn't old Gil get a lick of that old brass ring? Just one little lick. I make $50K a year. I'm barely getting by.
Yeah, it's like I make $55K. My wife brings in 22. I shouldn't be struggling.
I shouldn't be struggling. I might have to get a second job, man. I might have to. Which is like just more.
Right. Well, and like the entire way this is presented is still a way that I fundamentally do not agree with. Where he's like, it's a man's job to put his kids through college.
It's supposed to be hard. It's supposed to be hard.
It's like, no. In the rest of the developed world, it's not actually a man's job. It's every other country in the developed world recognizes that having a college-educated core of like working adults benefits the state and the entire country. So they pay for that to happen.
Yes, they make sure, and if they don't have the education around there, they will pay for them to go around the world and get that education, and then come back home and apply that skill.
Yes, we're the only country that does it like this. This is not how it's supposed to be.
Because it makes a very slim minority of people a lot of money and they don't have to be accountable to anybody. But yes, that is that's what this guy is the spokesperson of. That little shell, that little imaginary man that Toby Ziegler got to say, "Hi, I'm Toby Ziegler, and I work for the White House.
We'd like to buy you a beer. Talk to you about some stuff."
Which is like what every con artist always starts off with.
Yes, exactly.
So I mean, I something tells me this guy like is going to go down that route again. And then he's gonna end up wearing buffalo horns like a few years later, like maybe with a megaphone.
So.
Maybe with a megaphone.
Like that goddamn liar, fucking got me.
Yeah, and he'll be storming the Capitol with that guy from Mr. Show with Bob and David. The president, yes. So that guy from the police sketch, yes, that guy. Yes. The president and Fitzwallace, they talk about that Kumar's got some evidence. Like they basically they got their sights set on Israel again. So we get back to the. All right, well we have to.
Kumar put out the rumor that they had found an Israeli manufactured military parachute in the Bermuda Triangle.
Which of course they're like, like us Americans are like, well, no, Israel like keeps their military stuff in their place. We don't.
Yeah. Well, yeah. One guy is like, does Israel even make parachutes? They make them. They're good.
I mean, yes. I don't think that was really the question. I mean, some of their neighbors figured out some way to use parachutes that like in scary ways. So I'm sure that they figured out some ways to do it. Nancy still wants to nuke, and this is the way they always present these things. It's like, well, you could either, destroy humanity as we know it, or you have like an option where you do another covert, horrible action where we're all war criminals again and again and keep going down this cycle.
Yeah.
Like you just keep that internal vein of like covert action, that heroin of covert action, and keep injecting it, because to protect your own ass, you're going to have to keep doing it. President still stands by it. I need cellmates. You guys are all coming down with me. There's all one big family.
Yeah.
When you're here, your family, Olive Garden.
When you're here, your family, Olive Garden, and The Hague,
and Sopranos. It's all related, brother. The traveling gang. Yes, the traveling sleeping gang. I think they're traveling on a bus, but no, it is a
limousine. It's like a chartered bus. Yeah,
a chartered limo, which is like, oh no, so they don't even have that experience of like being crowded on a bus where they're like next to strangers. And one of my favorite parts of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is like when they're singing songs in the bus, which you don't see anymore. People all are on their phones, but like, yeah, back in like the 70s, 80s, 90s, if it's like, yeah, you're with a bunch of strangers on a bus, and it's like you're all bored or something, like people, I guess, would sing songs. And there's a scene where Steve Martin and John Candy are trying to sing songs, and Steve Martin tries to sing something that is like kind of like pretentious and not everyone knows it all, and it kills the mood. And then John Candy just like thinks a little bit, and he's like, Flintstones, meet the Flintstones, and everyone knows it. Like every person like on that bus fucking knows it. So, yeah, they don't even have that like little bit, but they all complain about not having Chinese food or any of their little suburban necessities. And then they show up, I guess, on like the steps before like the Lincoln Memorial, like the block right before that, which I'm just wondering, like, why wouldn't you guys go home? Like that's where I'd go. I wouldn't go back to work or back to the hill. Like, why would you?
These people are just so dedicated, man.
They just, oh yeah, they really are. That's why they staffed on for like longer than any staffer has ever worked for the White House.
Exactly. They love America and they love President Bartlett.
That they do. Well, I mean, and that's pretty much it. That main plot for me was like, yeah, like the elites going across the country and still not figuring out, like being rude to everyone and not figuring out why they're disliked.
No, yeah, they decide Toby/Eli Eddy was right. And the trick is to just make everyone see how brilliant, wise, and knowing President Bartlett is.
Make them to submit to the humble. Make them humble to your intellectual prowess.
Exactly.
They love writers, people who work with like shit all day.
Because he's an expert in economics, which is a totally real field of study.
Right. These people don't just like get to like hang out in air conditioned rooms and like dick around with numbers and make dumb jokes in an office while like other people are like harvesting, like working hard and butchering pigs for their dinner and shit. Yeah. But hey, is what it is. And until next time, folks, we're gonna find out how else the Bartlett campaign tries to
right. Yeah.
the country.
I was gonna say, yeah, like these two episodes, I think I had a lot less to say than I normally do. These two, they weren't very substantive, I don't think.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's just the fact that like all the problems they mentioned in there didn't really hold any weight because they just kind of like are problems that just get written away.
They're either problems that are being written away or they're problems that are being brought up for the future.
Yeah,
like the whole Kumar thing.
Yeah, and they're just going to keep going off on that. The war with the Middle East, that's going to be a big thing in these next couple seasons, I imagine. Like probably up until the last season, but it's like, well, but it's like you don't even really know. It's like, because I don't even think Obama was on the radar when they were writing it. Maybe he was, like, because like when this last season come out, like 07, 08.
Oh, we will talk more about that. Yeah, the last season came out in 06, I believe.
Oh shit! So yeah, he might have been on the trail, but at that point, Democrats, after they lost 04, I feel like they were very much trying to go back in their position of like, maybe we shouldn't be like maybe we shouldn't like be like as Islamophobic as the Republicans, to like maybe we should just like take the opposite lane that they have. as the only opposition party.
Yeah.
As opposed to just be exactly like our other candidates. Like let's just try to repeat the same rhetoric, but nicer. We're smarter. We're nicer about it. Like people love smart people for war. Like that's smart people do great in war too. That's what I've noticed. Like
they surely do.
Well, I guess until next time, folks.
Well, I'm going to say about next time, I am going to call my shot live on air and say that we will be skipping next week's recording on account of Thanksgiving. I know I will be on the road.
Okay, I guess we'll come back in 2 weeks with a couple episodes. Are we skipping any episodes? Are we just rolling on with the next two?
Let's roll on with these next two.
Boom after 2 weeks.
So that will be College Kids and the Red Mass.
Ooh, okay. Cool. Yeah. College Kids and the Red Mass. All right. Well,
the Red Mass sounds like something from Game of Thrones, doesn't it?
It does. Or it kind of makes me think of Edgar Allan Poe's The Red Masquerade.
Yeah, for sure.
Like might have elements of that, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how dark they get. War. I mean, they're pretty light about these war crimes right now. So we'll see how they go on about it. All right, folks. Well, I guess then until next time, keep working.
Keep on working.